Dear audience, especially students of Universitas Terbuka, welcome to EFL Curriculum and Material Development course. In this session, we are going to discuss kinds of syllabus. Syllabus in ELT specify what and how to teach English. It changes to quest for a better method. Each syllabus bases on theory of language and language teaching. Because of differences in language theory and language teaching use, there are many kinds of different syllabus. In this topic, we are going to discuss 7 kinds of syllabus. Those are grammatical, functional, competency-based, topical or thematic, situational, task-based, text-based syllabus. Now, we are going to discuss those kinds of syllabus one by one. The first one is grammatical syllabus. This syllabus is based on the theory that language are best learned through conscious knowledge of the forms of the language and the rules for their combination. So, in this definition, it clears that grammatical aspects are the most useful features. Syllabus will contain all grammatical forms. So from this structural knowledge, then the ability to communicate in the target language is built. The grammatical forms usually classified into, for example, Lesson 1, noun, Lesson 2, verb, Lesson 3, adjective, adverb, or pronoun. The presentation in this kind of syllabus at least based on 3 general steps. Those are eliciting students' descriptive ability, presenting the language forms, and the last one is practicing the language forms being taught. In grammatical syllabus, selecting the materials to be included in the syllabus is easy because there are so many language forms that could be included in the syllabus. But sequencing is another story. It is not easy to sequence them in the syllabus. Why? Because we never know what should be presented first, whether, for example, simple present tense and then past tense, or should we put simple past tense before simple present tense. Grammatical syllabus has also strengths as well as weaknesses. The strengths, for example, that students can easily recognize what to learn, and grammatical knowledge is easy to observe. However, the mastering grammatical items is not necessary showing being able to use them. There are many students who are good in grammatical knowledge, but they are not able to use it in communication. The next syllabus that we are going to discuss now is functional syllabus, which is different from grammatical syllabus. Functional syllabus is based on that basic to the language are the uses to which it is put. In this syllabus, language use is more important than language form. Language function is primarily and language form is secondary. In this case, the teaching will start by focusing on language function, and then language form will be taught when it is necessary. In functional syllabus, students' ability are developed to be able to function in English, and this syllabus will lead students to be effective language users. It exposes the students to real or simulated interaction in the classroom, making the teaching-learning process more meaningful. Language use is presented primarily and form is necessary. So the flow chart in functional syllabus is from function to form. The selection and sequencing in functional syllabus in selecting the materials to be included in functional syllabus, at least there are 3 steps. The first one is examining what discourse will be needed by the students. And based on that identified discourse, we then identify functions needed and also forms that used in that discourse, and then list all those functions or words to be included in the materials. I give you an example. For example, the discourse needed by the student is how to invite someone. So based on that identified discourse, the syllabus designers will list so many functions that can be used to invite someone and what language form is needed to be able to enable the students to communicate in that function, and then we list all those functions and language form to be included in the syllabus. The problem is in sequencing those syllabus. For example, in inviting someone, we have a lot of functions that can be used by the students to invite someone. Now, how we sequence them in the syllabus? The first criteria that we can use to sequence the syllabus is by grammatical complexity and length of utterances. So, for example, in giving advice, if I were you, I would blah 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 has higher grammatical complexity and longer utterances, then why don't you? So, the first expression will be sequenced after the second one. Audience, the next syllabus that I'm going to discuss is Competency-Based Syllabus. The language theory that underpins this syllabus is that a medium of interaction and communication between people who want to achieve. So here is specific goals and purposes. In this learning then, students fulfill a particular role with language skills for relevant contexts. The learning theory, in the other hand, is one context needs one particular relevant language expressions. So in the learning theory, the students will be exposed to several contexts that need expression or relevant language expression. In this syllabus, what we expect from the students is that students do with the language. Competency-based syllabus contains unit of competency students are required in life. The forms may take form units of competencies such as a task, a role, a function, or an activity. In this syllabus, the students are required, for example, to make a telephone call to an office to complain about a service. So, to make a telephone call to an office to complain about the service is one competency that students need or identified in this syllabus. And then based on that competency, the syllabus designer will list knowledge, skills, and attitude needed to complete that task. In selecting and sequencing process of what material to be included in competency-based syllabus, first of all, in selecting the materials, we have to examine competencies students should know and do. So the first thing to do is that list all competencies students should know and to do. For example, to introduce themselves, to introduce others, to ask for direction, or to make a reservation. And then list all that competency to be included in the syllabus. So the selection will be several competencies identified that the designer believes that those are what students need to know and need to do. And then, after we have a list of competencies to be included, the next is we have to sequence it. And the sequencing is based on the most needed tasks around the students and also grammatical knowledge and language expression needed for a particular competencies. Based on this sequencing criteria, for example, to introduce yourself will come first before to introduce others. Why? Because possessive adjective of the first speaker in introducing yourself, like my name or I live, is easier or less complicated than the third one of possessive adjective, for example, his or her name. Okay, audience, the next syllabus that we are going to discuss is topic or thematic syllabus. This syllabus is organized around a topic or theme. It specifies topics to achieve language competence, and usually it integrates the 4 language skills. In this syllabus, topics are used as reference in building conversation, topic to be discussed, lexical, structural exercises, or language skills. In this, generally speaking, all the language competence to be achieved will be based on the topics. I give you an example. Topics traveling, for example, suggests vocabulary like booking, tourist guide, itinerary, and others. And language skills like reading brochures, listening to the announcement, asking for direction, or writing a postcard. In selecting materials and sequencing the materials to be included in the syllabus, topics are selected based on students' interests. So, students' interest is the main consideration when we are selecting the topics. Topics like leisure time, shopping, childhood will be more interesting for students to discuss with. And the source of topics could be taken from events, trends, news, people, or places. In sequencing the topics to be included in the syllabus, topics are sequenced based on the learning tasks and the timing of syllabus. Well, audience, the next syllabus is Situational Syllabus. This syllabus believes language is related to situational context. It bases on a communicative view of language and basis on experiential theory of language learning, and is dependent on real situation to learn language. So the keyword in this syllabus is situation to learn the language. The content usually taken from real life. For example, at restaurant, at stadium, at school, at library. All those are situations that could be covered in this syllabus. A dialogue then can be developed based on that situation. For example, at restaurant, we can develop several conversations associated with situation in the restaurant. For example, ordering meals or asking for the bills. Situations are presented in a dialogue at the beginning of the lessons. That is usually the presentation of the syllabus. The syllabus starts with a conversation took place in the situation or the place that becoming that focus. And then this dialogue provides the students with models for student improvisation or the role plays that students are expected to create. Selection is based on what situation the students will face in real life. So the syllabus designer will list of situations that students need. For example, depending on their age and also their level of proficiency, the designer will list several situations, for example, at hotel, airport, office, or at cinema. The sequencing of those situations is not easy to decide. Why? Because one situation cannot proceed or come after another situation. For example, developer should think whether situation at school come before at cinema. Audience, next we are going to discuss task-based syllabus. By definition, A task is an activity that is carried out using language. The primary theory of learning underlying task-based instruction is question-accusation theory. Accusation theory believes that the ability to use a language is through exposure to language and participation in using it. In task-based syllabus, it is organized around tasks students will complete in the target language. To perform those tasks, students will need vocabulary, structures, and language expressions. So, in the task syllabus, the first primary thing is that we identify the task, and based on the task, because the student are expected to perform the task, the students will need vocabulary, structures, and language expression to perform those tasks. The content of the syllabus will be tasks the students need to carry out in a real-life situation. For example, going through a job interview, completing a credit card application, finding one's way from a hotel to station, and others. The presentation of the tasks are specified into pedagogical tasks. Pedagogical task is created to identify knowledge and skills and to perform the task. Tasks are integrated with exercises to achieve language competence, and students should have required knowledge and skills to carry out the task. In selection, the selection starts with needs analysis to identify tasks. So first of all, the designer will will identify what tasks are needed by the students. For example, when they graduate, they need to be able to apply for a job, to get the interview, to write CV. Those are the tasks, and then those tasks will lead to the list of the language that students need to perform that task. For example, in preparing for a job interview, the designer should identify what language that the students need to perform those tasks. And then in sequencing the materials to be included in the syllabus, sequencing is based on the complexity, difficulty, and condition imposed by the task on the students. The more difficult task will be ordered in the last part of the course. Okay, audience, the last topic in this kind of syllabus is text-based syllabus. Text refers to structured sequence of language that are used in specific contexts in specific ways. Text-based syllabus is organized around text. It is based on text chosen as teaching framework. It is integrated, combining elements of different syllabus, and it consists of text types identified through needs analysis. Text-based syllabus have the components such as grammar, vocabulary, topic, and function. So it also integrates reading, writing, and oral communication. In this text-based syllabus, grammar is taught through mastery of text rather than in isolation. The content will consist of texts such as narratives, procedural text, persuasive text, recount text. The presentation of this text-based syllabus usually consists of at least 5 steps. First, building the context for the text, modeling and deconstructing the text, joint construction of the text, independent construction of the text, and linking related texts. Selection and sequencing process in developing this kind of syllabus. The selection process begins with a need analysis, and then the result of need analysis will show what this course student will face and what text to be included are needed. Then, for example, based on need analysis, the students will need kind of text like recount text or narrative text. And then based on that selection, the next process is sequencing. Sequencing is based or decided based on complexity of text features and grammatical points. Well, audience, this will end our session. Thank you very much for your attention. I hope you are successful in understanding this topic. Thank you. See you again.